Hi, everybody. Welcome to day 10 of our journey to awesome and our continued look at meditation. But before we do that, I want to do a little bit of a check-in with you, and I want you to do a little self-exam for me, if you would, a minute. We spent a good solid 5 days, 6 days, talking about gratitude and moving into this practice. We've spent a couple of days now working on meditation. And what I want you to think about is, has there been some movement? Has there been a little bit of a change in, where your heart's at? Has there been a little bit of a movement in your emotional composition? Some of the edges coming off your lows. Are you finding yourself more on the high end of the scale? And I hope so, because this is about the time that we should see little bits of movement. Feeling better, feeling happier, feeling more joyful, not getting down and getting stuck down quite so long. Those edges of anger maybe not quite so sharp. So again, take a few minutes and just kind of examine that before we get going today. Now, before we start our meditative practice and kind of recap what we've added to it to this point, I want to add something up front today. I want you to pick a mantra. Now, a mantra, and I know that here we go. The eye roll, the turban wearing. A mantra is nothing more than a phrase or a couple of words. I've probably in 2 years used 4 or 5, and I always go back to my go-to one, which was the very, very first one I ever used and ever picked out. And when I'm really either struggling meditating, or if I find myself a little down on the emotional side, that's the one I go to. And mine is, and please don't use mine, use your own. Mine is peace, love, joy. I say those 3 words. And mantra is not going to be out loud, and I'll explain that as we incorporate that. But I use peace when I'm feeling overwhelmed, when maybe I'm feeling a little unworthy or think I have to prove something to someone, or stuck in a comparison mode. Peace takes care of that. Love reminds me to, always look at my fellow man in a generous and compassionate kind of way and not be so judgmental. And joy reminds me, quite simply, to avoid those elements of anger and hate and jealousy and those components. So I put those 3 together, peace, love, joy, and that's my go-to mantra. And I don't think I've ever said it out loud, but I certainly include it in my meditative practice, and we'll talk where that fits in just a moment. So let's get started on our meditation for today, and I want you to spend a little bit of time picking out your mantra, a word, a phrase, something that to you represents something really solid, really positive, a direction that you want to head with your emotional composition, and to help you get awesome too. So let's start with our normal stretch. I'm not going to do it with you today because I'm driving. And then we're going to take our 3 intentional breaths in through the nostrils, acknowledge all the good that you want to get. Maybe this is the first time that you think about some of those mantra words you're going to use. In through your nostrils, out through your mouth, blow out all that nasty fear, ugliness. And let's do that 3 times. That third one, we're going to hold a little bit longer, get us kind of in the right composition and fix us and get ready to go for meditation. Let's start out in being still for a little while, maybe about a minute if you can do it, and try to clear as best you can. Then let's add in your mind, once you're clear, let's add your mantra. So for me, that would be peace, love, joy. And again, I'm not going to say it out loud. I'm going to let my mind's voice. I'm going to get used to the sound of my inner voice here. And I'm going to let my mind play those words in total silence with my eyes closed. And do that for as long as you're comfortable in doing that. And then when you're done, let's close with a little bit more quiet, a little bit more clearing time. Let those words really settle in. Maybe venture back to your intention of going down this journey with me at all. And then let's close with our 3 intentional breaths again to lock this in. And hold that final one. And let that out. And let's hope that in all this practice that maybe you're up to somewhere around 3-4 minutes by now, which would, I got to tell you, that would be so outstanding, and you'd be so far ahead of me when I started out. And I got to tell you, If you can knock down that 3-4 minutes with those elements in it, that is a great recipe for moving on. So again, guys, I hope your heart is moving. I hope some of the mud is coming off your heart. I hope that your emotional composition is beginning to shift. And I look forward to being with you again tomorrow morning, Monday morning, the 11th day of our journey together. And we'll do a little bit more work on our meditative practice before we move into another piece of this journey. Have a great Sunday afternoon, everybody.